Hey guys, RC here. Alright, today I'm going to do a one-off video. This is going to be basic tactical setup information for new players. And this is only based on what I have picked up over the last couple of months of trying to understand how to do a tactic. Now, by no means am I the be-all, end-all. I am not a guru, and this definitely will not cover everything you ever need to know. But what I can tell you is what I have gleaned from my journeys through YouTube videos and the SI forums and asking questions, my Help a Yank series, just pulling everything together, because we're doing okay with our Brazil save so far, and this is tactics that I have put in myself for the first time, really, that I have tried to do a save or any type of playthrough with just my tactics, that I am putting players in place and setting their roles and duties and everything else. So just in a nutshell, you just have to evaluate your team. So first off, as I was educated, just because a player has a full green circle does not mean that's the best role for him in your tactic. So you have to have an open mind to play around with these and move them around a little bit and see how they work. And it's something that has to develop over time, and that's probably very similar to real life, because when a new manager walks into a team, he may have an idea of what those players can do, and for me that's a shortcoming because I don't know any of these players, so I don't know what they can do. Even on the English side or the American side, I don't know the players and what they can do, but play around with them. So like looking at Diaguino, so I have him as an advanced playmaker in a support role. Well, you might come in here and go, well, he needs to be a Mazzala because that's what he's best at. Well, that's true, but basically anything, I would say anything that's the three-quarter, Carrero, box-to-box, central midfielder, he can play any of those well enough to be viable. And if we look at my tactic here, I already have a Mazzillo on the other side, so I didn't want two of those. Okay? So just kind of play around with the roles. The next thing that I found is that any of the existing formations will basically work in the game. Okay, and that's information that came from Bust the Net, who is by far probably considered the premier mind behind Football Manager tactics. And he said in one of his videos, he didn't tell me, but he said in one of his videos that basically pick any one of these tactics that works with the players that you have, and they will work. Okay? Now, from going in that route, what you want to do, and I'll pick one here. Let's just set it to a 4-4-2 diamond narrow. Okay, so that's a new tactic. What you'll notice when you choose a tactic is the roles and duties are already selected, and they do change. So the biggest thing he said, the first thing you want to do is anything that's automatic, you want to immediately go in and change to support. Fullback support. He was a fullback. You have to be careful when you're changing these things too. So central mid support. Central mid support. Alright, he's already on support. Support, attack. So basically you don't want any automatics in your tactic. That would be the first step. Then the second step, and of course you want to pick a formation or a tactic that your players can fill the roles. So example, you notice I don't have any of these roles, don't have any wingers set up out here. Well, why would that be? I like winger tactics, but in Brazil, I don't have any wingers. None. And there was only a handful that I could even try to recruit. So, there's this guy here. He can play Diaguino. And if we look at him, well, he's ineffectual. So, it says he can play attacking mid, right, left, and center, but that's not really, he's more of an attacking mid-center, right? So, I don't have the wide wingers. Even in the midfield, I don't have wingers that can play here. So, you have to understand what players you have on your team. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use a third tactic to train on with wingers and then work towards getting players. That way, by the time you actually get players that can fill those roles, the other players are well trained up, hopefully, in what they can do. So you see I just put this 4-4-2 diamond narrow. Well, the familiarity's already off the chart, right? So they're already very comfortable with that because it's very similar to the other tactics that I'm playing. And here's an example, that 4-4-1-1. I just don't have guys that can play out there, right? So even if I quick pick this, my wingers are not very good, right, compared to the rest of the guys on the team. And these are guys that can play in other positions. So that's kind of what you have to keep in mind when you're setting your tactic. Know who your players are, and then what tactic they can fill. If you don't have players that can play a certain position, like a defensive mid or an attacking mid, then it doesn't do any good to really have that as your tactic, even if it's one you really want to play. So, know your players, choose a tactic that they can fit into, and then you can always train a secondary tactic that you really like and work on acquiring those players over 1 or 2 seasons, and then move into that at a later time. But when when you do choose that, very first step, as I said, is to change all of the automatic roles to a support role. What was he again? Central midfielder, support. All right, attacking mid, support. We don't have anybody up here. Let me do a quick pick. All right, support, attack. You want to get all the automatics out of there. All right, now, once you've done that, so you've chosen a shape or a tactic that you have players that can play, hopefully. Obviously, I don't have a defensive mid, so, oh, there he is. I don't know why he changed all of a sudden. That was weird. Okay. Then you want to, basically what I picked up, one of the key tidbits that I think I picked up is you want support duties at every level, at least one. Now, here's the breakdown and why I say that. Again, going to Bust the Net, the acclaimed guru, and watching some of his videos, a lot of his videos. A person on an attacking duty, there's only 3 duties: attacking, support, defend. Okay, and there is automatic, but automatic doesn't apply. All right, so attack, support, and defend. So a defend duty, they will defend to the death, basically. They will not try to win the ball. They will not try to advance up the field and attack with the ball. Their whole goal is to get the ball and get rid of the ball. So they are going to get the ball and clear it up to somebody else. And then they're going to go back into their position and go back to a defense stance. They don't care. This guy's not, if he gets the ball, technically he could have a wide open field to come all the way down into the box. He's not going to do that. He's going to look to play it off to, Dyerson, or get it up into one of the midfielders here. So that's the defend mentality. An attack mentality is the exact opposite. So a lot of download tactics, for example, you'll see a fullback on attack. Well, if they're on attack, their whole goal is to get down the field and up into the box area to where they can put shots on goal at the expense of everything else. They will not try to win the ball. They will not try to retain the ball. They will not try to defend. Even as a fullback, yes, he will come back, but his goal is to get the ball and then get upfield and attack. So you lose the defensive presence on a player like that. So that's the risk of going with an attack mentality from your fullback, that they end up playing up here and leaving your flanks open. And let's say you're playing against a 4-4-3, well, you only end up with 2 central defenders playing against 3 attackers, and that's going to give your opponent the advantage on shots onto your goal. A support mentality, and the reason this is important, their goal is to get the ball away from the other team and maintain control of the ball. So that gives you your possession. So they're going to be the ones working passing, getting the ball, moving it in transition from the defense to the mid up into the attacking zones. So that's why they said you want somebody at every level that can do support duties. Now, like this, you only have one player. You have to decide, well, he's a defensive mid. I want him giving some defensive support in this structure maybe. Now, I could easily put him on support, right? That's not going to kill me because he'll still defend there. But he'll get the ball, and instead of clearing it, he'll try to, maintain possession, try to pass it up to Dasa maybe in this example. So that's kind of the 3 duties, okay? So knowing those duties really helped me kind of start to understand how the players are going to play, okay? So, these 2 guys, they're going to stand right here at the edge of the box, and they're not going to go up to, they may come up as high as midfield depending on how far you're playing them in the instructions here, right? But they're going to basically play, right in this area, and when an opposing player comes into their zone, they're going to try to tackle him and clear the ball, okay? These guys are the guys that are your stoppers that try to get the ball away from the other team and get rid of it. They don't care where it goes as long as it's not down in your zone and it's not a risk to be a goal against your team. Your attackers, their goal is to get up into the attacking end, put the ball in the net, give you points. Support is the key. Those are the guys that are going to be looking to get the ball from the other team, receive the ball from your other players, and maintain possession via passing, dribbling, and moving up and down the pitch. Now, one key thought, and I saw this in a post the other day. There was somebody that had posted up a tactic, and somebody made a post, man, you don't have anybody on attacking duty. You're not going to score any goals. Okay? Again, going back to Bust the Net, the acclaimed guru, he, and I mean that very respectfully. Don't call him up or message him and saying I'm talking disparagingly about him, because I watch him very, very heavy in my YouTube viewing rotation, and he is the guy. So what he says is, again, support people, they will defend because they're trying to get the ball from the other team. They will try to maintain possession by passing and moving the ball in transition. And transition is simply moving from the defense up to the midfield and from the midfield up into the attacking zone. Moving the ball up in stages, maintaining possession the whole time. So these are your guys that are going to dribble, they're going to pass the ball around. This is where you're going to see your squares and your pass backs and your chips out to the flanks to catch maybe your fullback running up here for a cross. That's what they're going to be doing. And they're going to try to make safe passes, or as safe as you're demanding them, like in here, things of that nature. All right? So that's really, so again, the support, not only will they do that, they will try to become offensive and put shots on goal when they get up into the attacking zone. So These guys in support, they will make runs. They won't stay back behind midfield. They will make runs when it's called for. So, let's say that your midfield gets possession, and these three guys are passing the ball, and they're maintaining possession. Sorry about that. Once Dyson sees that those three guys have possession, and there's not a threat to the defensive end of the field, because again, he's a fullback, so support, first duty for him is to defend, then to support, get up here to where he can receive a pass, and then to get up into the attacking zone to help on the attacking end. So he will actually do all of that, so will Marone on the other side. All right, they'll both make runs. These guys, all three of these guys, will push up into the attacking zone. So, you'll end up with, in this tactic, technically you'll end up with one guy attacking real hard and up to 7 more guys being up into the attacking end at any given point. Not all of them, because if these guys are up here, then your fullback should see that, and he may stay back here to support. If he makes a run, then these guys on support will see that and should stay back. And now that comes into the player's decision-making process, their off-the-ball stats, all the other stats that tell how smart they are in doing what they do, as well as individual and team instructions. So that's your tactics in a nutshell. And I don't want this to be a super long video. I just, really wanted it to be what I've seen, what I've read, what I've learned to hopefully help out. Now, instructions is a completely different animal. But again, going with what Bust the Net said, you want to be very meticulous in setting these up. And when I say meticulous, not fine detail, he said you want to be very conservative in here. You don't want to put everything, there's some of these are very high risk, like pass into space. If you want to retain possession, you don't actually have to click that. But if you go shorter passing, look what the pop-up says. Shorter passes, greater ball retention. So just by going to shorter passing, they're going to try to retain the ball. So if you do that, you don't have to hit the retained possession, which is just another layer, which limits their attacking options. If you actually click retain possession, they're going to be more inclined to park the bus, pass the ball around and not make plays down the pitch into the attacking end. Let's see, there was a comment that I had read. Let me see if I can look it up here real quick. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so team instructions. Is that what I want? No. All right, mentality. Here we go. I think this is what I wanted. All right. This is almost counterintuitive. What you think it means is not what it really means, okay? Let's kind of start. You remember the first thing we did was we took all the automatics and made those support, right? Well, if they're on automatic, then whatever your mentality is what they're going to be. So let's say you left all those guys as automatic and then you went with an attacking mentality. Well, then all of those automatics become attack. Okay, so again, what is attack? Moving down the pitch, trying to get up front, get into goal scoring position. Well, if you do that with all of your guys that were automatic that are now support, what does that mean? We don't have guys trying to win the ball, trying to maintain possession, and none of them will be focused on playing any type of defense, which leaves you open to only your defenders playing defense. What does that do? Counterattacks, wing attacks, crosses, break, 3-on-1s, 5-on-2s, and easy goals against you. So you have to be careful about that. So that's one reason, I guess, you don't go with automatic, because if you change this, then it changes all of those players. Well, now if I go attacking, This guy's still support. So his, while the goal basically at that point they'll push up the pitch. So instead of playing here, he might be playing about here, right? The back line may move up to here. Your midfield may move up into here, and your advanced midfielder is going to end up in the box up here, is basically what that means. All right, so you can play around with this, and they'll still do their duties as support, attack, defend, and so you can be attacking in a defensive posture. What that means is when you get the ball, you're going to push up fast and quick. You can also play a very attacking formation, but play on a counter. And what that will do is they are going to be attack-minded, but only when a breakaway or a counter opportunity presents itself. So the other thing is when you're playing, say, a counter, then you're going to want your tempo to be higher. That basically when they get the ball and they do counter, you're going to want them to go 100%. If you're playing the attacking stance, you may want to do a normal or lower tempo, and that way they're not playing as quick pace, but they will go because they're attacking, if that makes sense. And then the other thing was, and this was actually really good, on team shape. Okay, basically if you go structured or highly structured, basically your players will play closer together, making their passes much shorter, much more liable to maintain possession. If you go higher, fluid, very fluid, they will be farther apart. Okay, so if we take a look at our pitch again, these guys will be, right here in the center, but they may roam out to here, or up in a more fluid shape, making the passes to get from one player to the other longer in length. And the longer the pass, the more chance for something bad to happen. Interception, missed pass, kicked out of bounds, what have you. So that was some good information. So if you want your players really playing possession, then you want to be structured and highly structured. Another team interaction that ties into that is roam from position. Again, this is going back to bust the net. Roam from position allows players to be creative. Now, his comment was, and it may not be an exact quote, but basically it will cause the players to move away from their position to make themselves more available for ball distribution. So if you're playing very structured, they're going to be very rigid. He's going to stay in this area, right? And they're going to have close passes. But if you keep that structured shape, but then you say roam from position, well, let's say that Diaguino has the ball. Well, Diaz may run over to here and say, okay, pass me the ball here. If the defense is clustered here, he'll break outside. He'll still try to keep a close stance for a pass, but he'll try to open himself up for distribution of the ball. Same with Desai. He may move up, he may move down, he may drop back. They'll be more inclined to move away while trying to maintain that structure, that shape of being close, but they will be more liable to try to break into an area that is easier for the person with the ball to distribute to them. So that really in a nutshell is what I have gained on how to make a tactic. Very, very basic. There's a lot of other things that go into it. I'm still learning, obviously. But I thought that was some good information that I could share with other newer players that were struggling with this, because I know this is what I struggle the most with in trying to play the game. And honestly, probably in the last week, I feel that I have made some leaps and bounds in understanding. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, that means I went from a 0 to maybe a 2. I mean, I'm still, way lost and don't understand everything, because, then you have the team instructions, and then you have the player instructions, and, but again, keep everything simple. There's an old acronym called KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay? And if you keep it simple, things typically work, because it's less things that can break or go wrong. So as Bust the Net said, the default tactics will work. Change those, any automatics, to support. Have at least one support in every layer of your tactic. Okay, so if we look here, well, I've got a support here, 2 supports here, a support here, and a support here. So I've taken all those automatics and I've made them into support roles. Now, that doesn't mean they have to be support. You can certainly make them defensive or attacking, either way, but at least have one support and don't have any automatics. Go with the minimal team instructions, and this is where you have to kind of let the game play. You have to get into a game, you have to watch it, see how the players are playing in that, and then analyze what's going on. Are you getting beat over the top? Well, maybe drop one of your support guys back into another defend stance. Maybe go into your team instructions and play slightly deeper. Maybe use the offsides trap. If you don't have the pace to keep up with the offsides trap, just play deeper without the trap. If you're getting beat on the wings, then, you have to, that's where I would maybe drop this guy from attacking to a support role. Get him to stay back more. These guys are on support because not only do they support here, they also support outside and backwards. So if this guy makes a run up here, right, then this guy is going to drop back to cover for him. So there's a lot of little nuances that you only can see as the game develops. And the biggest thing is the AI is not going to stay static. They will learn what you're doing and adjust to that. They will adjust based on the game situation. If you're up 2-0, they're going to probably become more aggressive and attacking. It gives you an opportunity to change your thing to cover that or maybe counter that. There was a video that I put up the other day that somebody noted that the other team had a guy sent off, and they had to condense their back. They condensed from a 4 to a 3 center back, and I was able to switch over to exploit the flanks and actually get some more opportunities later in the game by changing my game plan to exploit these new gaps in their formation that developed during the game. I hope this helps. Again, it's noob on noob information. Again, I have just spent a lot of time trying to understand the game. I thought I would share what I think I've learned so far, and hopefully that helps some people out there. Definitely want to thank Bust the Net for all his information. Highly recommend checking out his how-to videos, which is where I gleaned a lot of this information. Special thanks to Sephiroth and Don Emery, especially Don Emery, for the comments on my Help a Yank series. A lot of that information has been invaluable. Couldn't have made the gains that I think I've made, and of course, the second you start thinking you know something is when you're in trouble. But I wanted to put this video out again just to help, or try to help, people in my situation that want to play Football Manager but don't quite get it, to maybe understand a little bit more kind of how to get their foot in the door and start making some impact. Hope it helps. Guys, thanks for your time. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.